Good morning, At Properties. It's Thursday, May 7th. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm back today with Kevin Van Eck, who is live out of our Goose Island office. Thank you for joining us. Grab your coffee mug for another episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yes, hopefully you have your coffee. As you know, this is week one of the Do It Now program that we're running through May. So Do It Now is going to run on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And if you missed any of the episodes or any of the collateral that we've sent out, it's all in the Agent app in one post in the featured post. So make sure you go back there. On Thursdays and Fridays, Amy and I are still going to be having coffee and talking and sending it out to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And thank you to so many of you who've been sending us questions, giving us feedback on your experiences as you take on our Do It Now challenge for the month of May. So we do have a few questions that we wanted to talk about today. You know, we've been getting a lot of feedback from all of you, a number of different questions, but these are, I would say, a couple of the topics that seem to be most pressing for a lot of you out there as you're trying to figure out how to really anchor and focus and really develop a great pipeline for the month of May so that as we get out of shelter in place and hopefully as things pick up into the summer and fall, you are in a great position for success. So Kevin, I want to ask you to answer one of the first questions that we got from a number of our viewers, and that is, I have a lot of past clients that I feel should be referring me business, but they're not. How do I get people into the mindset of actually referring me?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I think the way I would respond to that, when you have clients, just because they worked with you doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be great referral sources. So I think the first thing I would do is look at, you know, are they involved? Are they outgoing? Are they going to be or potentially could be in A if you were to rank them? Meaning, are they involved in charity? Are they involved in neighborhood? Are they involved? What does their own sphere look like? Because if they don't know anybody, they're not outgoing, they don't hang out, they're not known in the community or in different groups, you know, they're very limited in who they can refer you to. So I think that would be, you know, that's part of the goal of ranking is really to focus your time, energy, and money. So you're focused on the people that are most likely to refer you. And just because someone worked with you doesn't mean that they're going to be top referrers, even if they had the best experience ever. You would like that. That would be the best scenario, but not everybody has that personality or the connections to be able to do that.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, Kev. And, you know, I think when I thought about this question, I really kind of went to the idea that guilt is a great thing. I say that jokingly, but in some ways not. You know, when you look at how to develop a way for your past clients or people in your sphere to refer you business, part of it is that you have to kind of train them to understand that that's what you're looking for. So one of my suggestions and what a lot of the brokers that I work with, what we tend to focus on is how to give sort of a blanket thank you out to your sphere of influence so that all of them start understanding that referrals are a really big part of your business. And what I mean by that is, let's say, you know, every quarter you decide you're going to send out handwritten notes to your top 200 people. And you might write into that handwritten note, thank you so much for supporting my business. You know, I work predominantly by referral, and you entrusting your friends and your family members to me means the world. And I really appreciate you supporting my business. And then you throw in a $5 Starbucks card. Now, you may send that to 100 people, and not all 100 people have actually referred you business. Some of them did, and so you're genuinely sending a thank you, but some of them haven't. But if they haven't and they receive this and they realize that they are part of sort of your tribe or your sphere that they feel should really be supporting them, it kind of guilts them, not even guilts them, but really sort of trains them to understand that that's what you're looking for, that you really look to your sphere and to your people to support your business. And so when you send that and you show that you reward for sort of their good behavior or their support, they're going to continue to hopefully start doing that, and it's going to kind of change their mind shift. So I think a lot about, you know, when you're looking at how to grow my referral-based business, you really have to train your people to understand what you're looking for.
That's such a good way to train, because guilt is powerful, you know, and you're thanking someone for something they haven't done. So hopefully they'll pick it up. And that's much easier, right, than saying, every conversation, I'm never too busy for your referrals, or do you know anyone looking to buy or sell? That's so great. So great. I've got a question for you, Amy. So this is another question that we've gotten, which totally makes sense. A lot of times when we're talking about networking, prospecting, we talk about kids, or we talk about school, or we talk about church, or whatever it might be. But the question we got is, I don't have kids, I'm not married, I'm having a hard time figuring out how to get in front of people and finding a common ground. How do I meet people if I don't have kids and I am not married? Especially now with COVID-19 here, it is hard to get together with people.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a couple of people actually, Kevin, had asked us, something along these lines. And, here's the thing, COVID-19 has made all of us have to shift a little bit in how we're doing things. And before we got on here, we were talking about this site. I hear it on the radio all the time. It's called Events and Adventures. And it's, for singles who want to go out and meet other like individuals. And, they can't have these big events anymore. So what they've done is they've gone virtual. So all the things that they're doing virtual Zoom parties. So we have to recognize that everybody's adjusting to this new norm. So you kind of have to adjust with it, and in regards to not having kids or, maybe not being married. When I first got into the business, I was single and wasn't married, didn't have kids. And I think what you have to really look at is when you're cultivating business, it's about focusing on the things that you're interested in. Because if you focus on the groups and the activities that are things that you like and that you're interested in, you're going to connect with like-minded people. Good example, when I lived in the city and I was selling real estate, I was big into running. Now I'm big into biking on my Peloton, but I used to be big into running. And I was a member of the Chicago Area Runners Association. And I joined that more because it was something that I really loved and I wanted to find like-minded people. As a result, I ended up getting clients from it because we would be on a, 12-mile run, and you have a lot to talk about when you're running for, 12 miles. But, I would really encourage you to figure out, what am I interested in? If you don't have kids, you're not going to be interested in what's going on at the local school. You're just not. And that's totally okay. Now, your sphere of influence, you might have friends that have kids, and they're still going to work with you. But if you're looking at how can I grow my sphere of influence and how can I grow my connections, you've got to find things that you're really interested in. And so many of these, there's another great site. It's called meetup.com. And that is a great site that allows you to find people who are like-minded and like different things. And while a lot of the stuff that they used to do were in-person meetings and meetups, I'm sure that they're going to shift that. And there's probably a lot of virtual opportunity. So I would say, focus on, what you like and get connected with people that are similar to you with similar interests, and the business is going to flow.
That's such great suggestions. I don't know that I have anything else to add to that other than I had a friend or someone that I met who I knew was new to the area, and they found a couple of friends and people that they connected with through something called Bumble BFF. And I think Bumble is actually a dating app, right? But there's this part of it where it's actually used to find friends, find people, connect. So I just want to put that out there because I know they had met a few people that they're continuing to, to talk with and be friends with, and not in a dating relationship sort of way, more from a friend perspective.
Yeah, I think that's great. So next question, Kev. We got this one. I'm a newer broker, and most of my business when I started was focused on open houses. What do I do now that I no longer have this option in finding clients? How can I start finding clients in this new environment?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And this is one that I know open houses were huge when I was selling and working with clients. They were huge in continuously adding to my pipeline. So I feel people's pain here, but I think the first suggestion I would have is that it's just one piece of the puzzle in creating success and finding buyers and sellers, right? So we have a choice here, because if this was a big part of you building your business, you have a choice either to be paralyzed and always, or really focus, find a solution, and do something else. And we have to choose to do something else to replace what we can't do now. And so I think there are a couple of options. I think the first thing would be, I would encourage people to truly focus on their sphere. This is time for relationships. And I know we keep saying that, I know we keep referencing it, but it's something we have to do over and over and over again. But I think the other option is, the other solution is doing a virtual open house. And Amy, you and I have talked, and we've talked with a lot of you watching. Yeah, sometimes, virtual open house, it may be a gimmick for the seller, to appease them, to show that you're doing something to create exposure for their property. But I also know that there are brokers out there that are creating success. And what I mean by that is they are actually meeting people, getting leads, and working with those people, buying or selling, or renting. So there's an agent, Sean, out of the Ohio office. He was kind enough, he put together a training video on how he's doing virtual open houses. It's linked in the email here, and it's in the agent app. So watch that, because he's been able to capture a ton of leads, and he's spending a little bit of money to get exposure, but he is really building his business through virtual open houses right now. And so take a look at that. If open houses were a big part of meeting people, ensure that you are continuing to work on your sphere and you're not paralyzed there, but also look at another solution like doing virtual open houses.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, we were looking at the numbers, and I think the stat is that people are online 23% more now than they were prior to COVID-19. So people are online. The other great thing that we've got is NList. It's a really great buyer platform that allows people obviously to take a look at everything that's on the MLS, but in addition, it also picks up anything that is in the PLN. So, there is a differential in your approach when you're presenting it to buyers or just people who are out there looking, is you can say, hey, want to look at everything that's, on the market, but I also have access to stuff that is pre-market inventory, so you can check it out. And the cool thing is, yes, you can sign people up, but when you are part of NList, you also get a URL or a link that you can post onto any of your social media that'll allow people to click onto it and register themselves. So you can get people that you don't know to actually click on and sign up under NList, and they fall under your profile. So it's a way to maybe pick up potential leads or potential buyers. So I think the biggest messaging right now is that you got to think outside the box. You have to recognize COVID-19 has brought some adjustments and changes, to our business. Don't let it stall you. Just because you can't do physical buyer, open houses where you're going to attract or talk with buyers, there's definitely different avenues. So just be creative and definitely think outside the box.
Yeah, that's great. A good suggestion, because the ability to differentiate now is super important. The next question is one that we get all the time. So it's not necessarily pandemic related, but it is marketing related. I think it's coming up now more frequently because people are thinking about their marketing plans. So the question is, how do I implement farming, and what are your thoughts on farming? And some of the specific questions that play into that are, what do you think about bus benches? What do you think about billboards, direct mail, all these things? So what's your take on farming, Ann?
Yeah, it's a good question. We got a lot of that yesterday when we were on our workshop, specifically about farming and some of these different avenues. Should I be spending money on this? And, I think the answer to that is, it depends. And I am a big believer of, you've got to make sure that you've got a system in place to stay in front of your sphere, first and foremost. I've had a lot of agents that I work with where they don't really do a lot to stay in front of their sphere. And their whole concept is, I'm going to farm my entire, community, school district. And they spend all their time and energy on that. And they kind of forget the people who already know them, like them, trust them, love them. So I would say the first thing you need to make sure of is, do I have a great way to be in front of my sphere consistently? Because that's how you're going to get the fastest leads. But I do think that there is an option and a good reason to focus on farming. And I think the first thing that you have to recognize is it's going to take time. You cannot anticipate that I'm going to farm an area. Let's say you do direct mail to a subset of people in your school district, and you do it for 3 months, and you expect that a lead is going to come out of that. You've got to give it time. You've got to have a minimum of a 12-month period of time where hopefully after that, you may start seeing results. And it's got to be consistent. So you've got to give it time, and there's got to be some consistency in your message, because you have to recognize these people are cold. While they may, see your face and start recognizing you, it takes a while for them to warm up and sort of recognize who you are. So you've got to create consistency and give it some time. The other thing that I think is so critical is, let's say you decide that you're going to do a bus bench, in Bucktown, or you're going to farm a particular building or a particular area in Bucktown. How else are you getting in front of those community members? Are you part of the neighborhood community association? You've got to create some additional layers in which they see you and recognize you. So it's important to not just, farm an area, and expect results. You've got to figure out, how else am I going to create some additional depth so they get to know who I am, how I'm part of the community, and, how I can be an impactful individual for them to be connected with or to work with.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. I think, when I talk with brokers about it, it really is focus on your sphere first, right? Maximize your sphere, because these cold people that you're farming, whatever you're doing, whatever your plan is, you have to take them from not knowing you at all the way through feeling so connected with you. Out of the 12 agents that NAR says everybody in the U.S. knows, they have to feel so connected with you that you are the one they choose. So I know a lot of times, we have, and in fact, here's a great story I just thought of, is there was an agent a number of years ago who decided to farm one building. It's a gigantic building in Chicago, and they picked out 400 units to farm. And when they say farming, they said they were going to just mail a holiday card to all 400 units, and that's all they were going to do. And I told this agent to burn their cash, because one card to a bunch of people they don't know is going to do exactly nothing. So to Amy's point, when we talk about bus benches and all these other things, it's got to be part of a bigger campaign. People have to see you in multiple places. You have to take them from not knowing you to feeling like you are everywhere. And so, Amy said that it's a commitment to farm. It's a commitment for time. It's a commitment for money. It's not inexpensive. And if I were to start farming today in a community, I would mail them every 10 days. They would get 3 postcards a month. I would be doing AdWorks Sphere. I would get bus benches and billboards, and I would also potentially be buying Zillow leads in that area as well. Now, I probably wouldn't do any one of those individually unless I was doing all of them. I wouldn't just get a bus bench in one random area because I wanted to do business there. The key is that when people are out, when they're online, they're seeing you. When they're walking their dog, they're seeing you. I would be sitting open houses there, so I would have potential to meet these people. So in any case, the key with farming is it's a commitment. It can be highly, highly effective, but just be sure that you're making it part of a bigger campaign.
Yeah, really, really great advice, Kevin. So here's another question that we've got. I've been doing a good job of staying in front of my sphere during the last 4 to 5 weeks, but I feel like I'm running out of things to talk with them about. Any creative ways to stay top of mind and have new things to present to them?
Good one. I totally understand this one, right? Because if you're sitting at home or maybe doing, working, but you feel like you're over communicating at times and you're wondering what else you can send, because are people tired of hearing about the pandemic? Probably. So what are you sending to people? I think what I would do is I would take it to the personal aspect. And so what I would do is, and in fact, Amy, I was telling you I did this morning, Business Insider. There was an article about the top 12 stocks that someone might invest in based on the, earnings season. So I sent that to 2 friends of mine. I read an article, for those of you, you may know who Darren Hardy is. Every day he sends out a motivational video. It's 2 to 3 minutes. It's very fast. Today is applied to a specific situation with a friend from a number of years ago. So I emailed that to a friend and I said, check this out. So I think doing that with your sphere, it doesn't always have to be about homes and business and stats, because how many times can people hear that there's still properties going under contract if they're not actually interested in selling or buying? So, taking it to the personal side. And there's so many other events that are happening virtually that if you know that someone's into wine or mixology or whatever it might be, really harness that, like use that as content to send to people. And as a note, the stock email, what I would do with that right now if I had a farm is I would take that article from Business Insider, I would save it as a PDF, I would send it out to an enormous group of people and just people that I know from my sphere, And I would just say, I don't know if you've gotten into day trading while you're sheltering in place, but check this out. And whether I know about what the Dow Jones, what these stocks are, anything about it, it makes me look intelligent. So that's what I would do. Amy, I know you have some great ideas with this too.
Yeah, I think to your point, it's important to really stay fluid, right? And the whole idea is listen to your people. The more that you're engaging on social media, it's going to come naturally, the ways in which to continue communicating. So don't feel like it needs to be quite so scripted. Just be natural with it. Just stay in the flow. And to Kevin's point, it doesn't always have to be work related. But on that point, I do actually feel like there are new opportunities that are being presented to us right now with COVID-19 that could be a cool or different way for you to get in front of your clients. And specifically, over the last, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, I've had agents come to me and say, I've got people in my sphere of influence who are asking me about real estate because they're looking at it from an investment perspective. They kind of got beat up with the stock market, with what's been happening over the last couple of months. And so they're looking at, how to diversify their portfolio. And so that, got me thinking about, that's such a great way to reach out to your sphere of influence. And what I love about it is how the ask can be presented. So I would encourage you, if you, haven't really already, take a look on the MLS or look in the agent app and see, are there any cool opportunities from an investment standpoint? Because there are people who are going to want to gobble up some real estate, not just as a buyer or as a seller, but as an investor. And so I would look to see, are there any cool multi-units that are on the market? Reach out to some of our commercial folks who might have some stuff going on, or just even look on the MLS or on CoStar. But then what I would do is if I found something that I thought was kind of a cool opportunity, a nice way to reach out to your sphere is to call or connect with people and say, hey, listen, I came across a great investment opportunity that cash flows really nicely. Do you know anybody right now who's looking to invest in some real estate? Because I'd love to pass this on or see if I can get somebody connected. The beauty in that is that when you're calling that individual in your sphere, you're not asking them for business. You're not, saying, hey, how's the weather? What's going on in your life? You're really sort of showing them that you're in the business of real estate and you've got a great opportunity and want to connect somebody with it. And it's sort of like an indirect ask and an indirect way to really show them your expertise. So, think about the new things that are coming out of COVID-19 and the different types of opportunities and the new kinds of clientele that might be coming out of this. And just that might be another way for you to evolve and get in front of your sphere of influence and feel like there's a different thing that you can present to them.
That is so smart, because it's not, like you said, it's not a blatant ask for a referral. It's not offensive. It's such a smooth way to do it. And you're actually trying to help people. So that's great. I love that. So everyone should be doing that. So for all of you agents with investment properties, please make sure they're on the agent app. If they're not in the MLS already, if they're pockets, make sure they are in there. And that goes for your commercial guys too. Make sure to put any investment properties that you have into the agent app, because I have a feeling that a lot of brokers, a lot of us are going to be looking for those properties to send out and talk with our clients about. So that's great. Thanks, Aim. So that's it for today. I know we've answered a few questions. We know that you have a lot more. Feel free to forward those questions off to coffee@properties.com. And we're going to try to answer them, of course, over email, but sometimes the frequently asked questions, the ones that we get repeat, they're good to answer here, because even if someone has an asset, I'm sure there are many, many who are thinking the same question. So 2 things. One is we are sending out the homework. You'll see it here in this email, all of the homework that we've done for Do It Now Week 1 for business development. So please take a look at that. Make sure you're making progress, the morning routine, and then everything we've talked about this week over the last 3 days. And then also sign up for training. So yesterday we talked about the CRM, and we got such great feedback, because I feel like, not everyone had taken the time in the past to really learn about how the CRM can help them develop their business. Nikki has a class next Friday. It's on the agent app. Please register there. And then @Opens training continues. We have one today. And then @Drive training also continues. So take the time to learn those tools and implement them. And as I said, started at the beginning, we'll be back with coffee tomorrow. And then registration links for Do It Now for week 2 will be out over the next 48 hours. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Make it a great day and just keep, kicking butt. You guys are doing a great job. Continue sending us feedback. We love hearing your stories. We love the questions that you're asking. We want to be the support that we can be for you to just really be successful this May. So make it a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.